Okay. I was muted and had a banner on my face. Good start, but I think we're good. I think we are live. Can you all hear me out there? Can you all hear me? No sound, but what about now? What about now? Crisis averted. We can hear you. Thank you, Noah. All right. Rough start, but we are good. We are ready. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another live stream. As you might have noticed, Noah's in chat. He's not with me right now. It's going to be a little solo stream. You get me, and that's it tonight. Noah's going to be trolling in chat, moderating, but it's going to be me, at least for the first few minutes here, and then we got Nico in a few minutes. So he said he's going to be on around 7:15. So we got 15 minutes to hang out, just us. Talk a little Sounders preseason, and then get some takes from Nico, I think, on the game today and what's been going on with Seattle's preseason, and then we're going to hit some around the league stuff as well. As always, feel free to drop questions and topics you want to discuss in the chat, and try and get to as many as we can. If you want to guarantee that your comment gets seen and put on the screen and addressed, you can always do a super chat. Not obligatory. I'm just saying you can. Also, shout out to our two new sponsors, Podium in Edmonds and Hacks and Ferments. We launched that on our last episode. Super excited about that. And of course, Full Pull Wines, who's been sponsoring us. Happy birthday. Thanks. Yeah. Chat, I can't fix the camera, but if we... is the picture like really bad, or like what's wrong with my webcam? Is it that bad? I think that looks okay. That's good. It's good enough, folks. It's good enough. All right. I guess let's just jump into it before Nico comes on, and it's a little cooked, but we roll. Great to hear it. It is not my birthday. I don't know if this is like someone's doing a bit right now, but my birthday's in September. Preseason, Sounders preseason. There was 2 games today against a club called IFK Norrköping, Swedish club, famous Swedish club. I've been saying that for years that the true barometer of Seattle's ambition would be how they perform against IFK Norrköping. Disc Golfer says, dude, I'm actually buying some hacks and hot sauce for my buddy for his B-Day after hearing about that sponsorship. Disc Golfer, appreciate you, man. Definitely everyone support the companies that are sponsoring us, because we want to make it worth their while. And if they get a big influx of business, I think that would make it worth their while. There was a lot of good stuff from this preseason game today, guys. I feel like I've been pretty pleased with what I've seen so far. As I think we all know that the biggest determinative factor of this team's ceiling is whether they can improve on the offense that they put out last year. I think down the stretch and in the playoffs last year, it got better, but they got to score more than 51 goals in league play this year. I can tell you that. So I've been encouraged at what I've seen in attack. I think Ferreira's been looking really, really good. João Paulo looks really good. Jordan Morris looks good and sharp. I think Pedro de la Vega, sounds like to me, has been the standout of camp so far. And he almost had another goal today. He didn't quite score that one, but he continues to look good. But we did have a Paul Rothrock goal. I was going to try and pull up these goals that were posted by Sounder Heart on Blue Sky. I don't know if we'll get copyright ding for that. Maybe the feds and the oligarchs will come after us, but it's happened before. So Noah's trying to give me camera instructions, but I don't know. The camera might just be chalked, guys. It might just be chalked. It's not our normal camera. So taking your hand slowly to try and get it to focus. Is that better? Not really. I think we ball. I think we ball. Given your luck, they will DMCA it. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of worried about. That's what I'm kind of worried about. But let's uh let's give this a try. Let's give this a try. Except I don't really understand how to do this either. I'll go through it verbally for now if I can figure that out. Maybe we'll do that at some point. But I also, in all seriousness, I don't know if I would get DMCA'd for that. And like you said, I probably would. The feds don't like us. The Paul Rothrock goal was assisted by Moose. So, make of that what you will. Noah wasn't happy to hear that, but it was a nice dime from Moose. Like I said, De La Vega easily could have had another goal. Someone I could that highlight I couldn't tell who put the ball in, but there was a cross to the far post and he laid it back across, and that really the Swedish team's goalkeeper cooked on that one. He made a really good save, and then they got that cleared off the line. But it was a nice play. Trevion Sosa had a goal, and that's going to be probably more important than we would have thought because RBW now has what sounds like a long-term hamstring injury. We'll talk to Nico about that, but RBW is going to be out for a while, which is unfortunate. He did not assist. Okay. I mean, all right. You're just denying reality. That's fine. That's fine. The Jesus Ferreira goal was really good. That was a nice sequence where Jordan, I think Jordan won the ball deep in their end. And then Ferreira had one of his goals where he kind of set himself up for a shot from distance. He looks sharp right now. The whole attack looks sharp. Georgie had an assist to Alex Roldan on the last goal. So they got 5 goals across these 2 scrimmages that they played against this team. And they also gave up 5, which I didn't see the highlights on those. But I guess we'll start there. Like, how much of this should we be encouraged by the attack versus should there be any worry about the fact that they've also been shipping goals? I mean, me personally, I'm less worried about the defense once the season actually starts than I am the attack. I mean, this has been one of the better, if not the best, defensive teams in the league for the past 2 seasons. So I have confidence that that's going to bear itself out when the season starts. The attack, I mean, when you're playing these exhibition games against these teams, they're looking how you want to look. They looked like they were all over this team today, at least in the first game, and then they gave up 2 goals at the very end of the second one. So help Ari get a new webcam by becoming a channel member. Yeah, exactly. Is it that bad? Oh man. Yeah, I guess that does not look good. RBW injury sucked. Yeah, it just really sucks that he can't stay on the field. This was going to be a big year for RBW. If you talk to the scouts and the pundits about it, a lot of them have for a long time rated RBW as the highest theoretical upside of all of Seattle's current crop of homegrowns. And I believe, we've seen flashes of it, but it's just a bummer that he hasn't been able to be on the field consistently enough for us to really see what he can do. So best wishes to RBW. Hope he gets a speedy recovery. He's back on the field soon. Random question: if MLS buy any CSL players, is there a tariff involved? Not sure about that. Terrorist ball. Let's see. I wanted to play this JP sound. I think that would be okay, but I don't understand how to share my screen. No, you gotta give me tech advice here. Thoughts on Forge losing 2-0 to Monterey in CONCACAF Champions Cup? Only 2-0? That's, I don't know. That's kind of sketchy for CF Monterey. We got 5 minutes before Nico signs on. So if you've got any questions or topics before then, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We're basically just chilling until then. Hit the present button. What is that? I don't know what. Oh, okay. I see it. Okay. All right. We're cooking. Let's play some JP sound for you guys. I thought JP had a good interview after the game today. I'm gonna just pull that up really quick. If this works, I'm officially a professional streamer. Oh yeah, you guys see that? That is JP in the flesh. Okay, I think I did that right. Hey, all right. See, we're learning here. This is why we crash course these things. Okay, I always like to hear from JP. I think he's an interesting guy. I'm gonna play this sound for you guys, then talk about what he said right before we bring on Nico. Let me know if you can't hear this.
JP, third of the 4 friendlies, your final action of the preseason. How do you feel like today's match went?
It was a good shit for the guys. Feel like we need to clean up some things defensively. But like what we lacked last season was the final third, and I think we are doing a good job here, scoring goals. So now we need to have this balance. We have a little bit more time to figure out things, but I think we are in a good path.
Yeah, something I've been asking the players is, 3 goals this game, 5 goals the game before, a couple of goals. That has been a focus of the off season coming into this year. What do you feel like has changed in that regard to allow you guys to score more?
Obviously, the formation is different, so we have guys in different spots, different movements, more guys inside the 18. All of that help us to create more chances, and I think we are doing that.
And finally, sort of we have 1 week back in Seattle of preseason before we start CONCACAF Champions Cup play. What is the focus for the team in this final week?
It's always the next step. We have one more friendly game in Louisville, so we need to use that game to build our lacking, improve a little bit more to be ready for the season.
All right, thanks, JP.
Thank you, guys.
There you have it from JP. Let me see if I can unshare this screen now. That's going to be the real test. Remove. Nice. There it is. Man, that was smooth. So I think for me, the biggest thing of note from that JP sound right there is just what he was talking about with how the new formation has affected how they're playing an attack. They've been drilling the hell out of it all preseason. We're gonna see how it looks when the games actually start, but it's just it's good to see what they've been working on, like bear fruit in these preseason games. Sometimes there's like a big acclimation process when you're integrating a new player like Ferreira and you're tinkering with the formation, you're tinkering with the tactics, but it looks good and it looks sharp so far. I'm pleased with that. Costa Rienzi, I think, has been another preseason standout that a lot of people are talking about. He had the assist on JP's goal today. And with the RBW injury, I think there's a pretty good chance that he's going to make the roster. Noah is remote from Linda's, exactly. I'm just proud of myself for figuring out how to share my screen. That was electrifying stuff. We should get Nico in here in just a minute. But again, go ahead and let me know if you got any questions or topics that you want us to hit before then. I'm really just I'm just kind of chilling right now. We got a lot to talk about from around the league. There's been some big time transfers. Cucho Hernández is out. Atlanta United finally got their league record. They broke the league transfer record, transfer fee record for this guy, Emmanuel Latte Loth, who has a really fun name. So that was a big time move. I was going to ask Nico a little bit on this about this Inter Miami drama. We put out a pretty good video on our channel today of our discussion from our last podcast on the Inter Miami drama. And that's still an interesting story for me. You know, not like what happened in itself, but just the potential of discord and chaos and turmoil down there could be league changing. Ari is secretly a boomer. I mean, not even really secretly when it comes to this tech stuff. It's tough. It's tough out here. You know, I'm getting better about it, but it's a challenge. All right, I've thought of something to do here while we wait for Nico. Now that I know how to do this screen sharing stuff, let's talk about some Doyle content. That's always an easy lob over the plate. Present. Oops. What is this? I have to use the same tab. What does that mean, Noah? What does that mean? Okay, I got it. Everyone calm down. Everyone calm down. There it is. Western Conference breakout players from Matthew Doyle. So he wrote out a breakout candidate from every team in the East and West. And for Seattle, Doyle has Josh Atencio as his pick for Seattle's potential breakout player this year. He says, okay, Atencio has already broken out as a useful MLS defensive midfielder, played real minutes in big games against the biggest teams in the region, gotten a USMNT cap, gotten himself paid, and he's 23, not a kid anymore. But we haven't seen much of Atencio at what I think will ultimately be his best position, center back, specifically in a back three. He's got the physicality for it. On the ball, he's got the passing range to be an asset for a team that wants to have the ball about 60% of the time. And then he has a confidence level for each one of these players. And his for Doyle for Atencio's potential breakout confidence level pretty high, given what we've seen thus far in preseason and how committed the Sounders are to developing their academy talent. So there you have it. Some shine for Josh Atencio from a national pundit. I think that's probably the obvious choice because you can't really. Obed broke out last year, and I think his point is sound, which is that Atencio moving to center back and becoming like a plus center back, if that's what happens, that would be a big time breakout, and that would have big time implications. I think that's been more of kind of like a side storyline this preseason, just what they're doing with that position change and how he's looked during preseason. But I think sneakily, with this many games coming up, the Josh Atencio at center back storyline that could be a big one. Tar says he's been a bit shaky in preseason games, but think he can figure it out. Yeah, I mean, I admittedly with these preseason games have been mostly going off pretty much primarily like totally going off highlights. I haven't actually gotten to watch one live, so I believe you. But I also I think what Craig Wibbs was saying when he first revealed this position change made sense. Like when you think about how he's built and his range of passing and just all his attributes, the fact that he played it in the academy and for Defiance a little bit, I'm pretty sure that like in principle, it makes sense to me. We'll have to see how it works out. But yeah, there's some notable players from other teams on here, and there's also some random guys that I haven't heard of. But definitely it's always worth reading if you're curious what's going on with other clubs. There's not very many better writers to dive into than Doyle. Jack McGlynn traded to Houston Dynamo from Philadelphia Union. That was a move that took place. That's like the ostensive Hector Herrera replacement for the Houston Dynamo. Had the Eastern Conference breakout players. Ramiro Enrique from Orlando City. That's one that he looked really good last year, and Doyle had some interesting data about him as like a two-way player. Apparently, this guy is like the best defensive forward in the league already. And then look at his advanced stats. Like, ooh, that's clean. I think that's a good shout. That was pretty much the best one that I remember from the Eastern Conference. Could be a good deep line playmaker, center half, sure. Are we still talking about Atencio? Gopher says I think he'll crush it at CP. I'm at CB. I'm like I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to watch it. Let's see if I can. Okay, nice. Yeah, this camera. This looks good. All right. I don't know when Nico's pulling up, so we're just gonna keep hanging out, and when he gets here, and then I'll ask his opinion probably on some of the stuff that I've already talked about. Wanted to talk about this Cucho Hernández transfer because I feel like that is really huge news. Cucho Hernández transferred to Real Betis. Here we go. Of La Liga. Now, this is big news, both because, I mean, you know, whenever there's a player from the league that goes to a league like La Liga for this much money, I mean, this is a club record fee, $16 million reportedly, plus add-ons. That's always a big deal. But this is one of those preseason storylines where the knock-on effects could be pretty big. Cucho Hernández is one of the best players in MLS, and the Columbus Crew, like, the thing is, what a sale like this is definitely good business with the Columbus Crew for the Crew, and they had to do it because this was sort of how they got Cucho to agree to come here. It was a situation where he was sort of trying to replenish his stock for the Colombian national team and really just kind of on the global stage, and he did that. He's back on the Colombian national team radar. He became a superstar in MLS. But the point is, the Crew, whoever they replace him with, I see very little scenario where they get better than what they were getting from Cucho Hernández. So that's number one. And then number two, they traded Christian Ramirez, or like reportedly are going to trade Christian Ramirez to the LA Galaxy, which there's a couple of things to think about there. Number one, the Galaxy needed striker help after they lost Joveljic to the Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts. All they had was Miguel Berry. But I've had a long time take that Christian Ramirez is underrated. I feel like every time he's been on an MLS team, he always scores goals, and that's actually a good swoop by the Galaxy. Okay, I see Nico in there. We got him. I'm gonna add him in there. Hell yeah! Here we go. Now the show can really start. Nico, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, Ari?
Hey,
what is
Nico.
happening?
What's up? Everyone say hi to Nico.
Excited to be on with my guys from the Lobbing Scorchers, of course. You're talking about my Colombian brother leaving Columbus.
Yeah, I was
breaking my heart.
I was planning on asking you about that. Well, there's no Noah tonight. He's trolling in chat, but we're gonna have a good time talking Sounders and MLS. Niko Moreno, everybody, Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports. Appreciate you jumping on. Would you want to just start with some Cucho stuff? Because I was right in the middle of it. I was planning on like asking about Seattle, but we can we don't have any set regimen.
Yeah, man, I think it's more than fair to talk about one of the best strikers we've had in MLS over the last 5, 6, maybe 10 years. it's really interesting because I remember writing about Chris Henderson being interested in scouting him when he was in the Spanish B division while Chris Henderson was here with the Sounders. He was obviously a long shot at the time because he was very young. He had a lot of potential and he was an expensive guy. But man, his whole career has been a guy that has been underrated. He has been undervalued by both the national team and I think people in soccer in general. Then he goes to England. He has a decent season still, not to his overall potential, in my opinion. And then he comes to MLS and does what anyone that had been really looking closely into his career knew he would do. I said it right off the bat. I thought he was going to be a all-time type of striker in MLS, and boy, was he. From reaching an MLS title to getting so close in Leagues Cup, and was the Leagues Cup or
they won Leagues Cup, but they went to the Champions Cup final and famously did not win that. But
correct,
it was supposedly because they got poisoned,
right?
Some say,
flip it any way you wanted. They did not make that tournament what they thought they would have, but he did just about everything you would have asked from a guy in his range, in his paid bracket, and he was just incredible to have him in our league. I was lucky enough to have him on Pulso Sports for a one-on-one, and he told us that he still had a desire to not just make a name with the national team, but perhaps to go back to Europe. And he does that now, going to Real Betis. Good business for Columbus. They got him at 11 or 10.5. They sell him about 16 million. So, it's understandable. He wanted to go. As I mentioned, he had told us it was part of his plan. So nothing but respect for a guy like him. And Columbus is in a real transitional moment. I don't know how they get out of this because they lose Moreira, they lose Cucho, they lose Superman now to the LA Galaxy. So it's going to be a difficult transition for Columbus. But man, it was great to have Cucho Hernández in MLS.
What's his stock like with Columbia right now? I feel like it should be high. Like, is he getting caps? Do you think he's going to be a part of the picture for you guys moving forward?
I think he'll be part of the picture, man. But this is why I didn't put a lot of stock on what people were saying in terms of, and this is the reality, right? I mean, if you are playing in Europe, if you're playing in La Liga, you're likely going to get a lot more of an emphasis to, make a team for whatever national team you play for. But man, it's just, there's not a lot of room right now. I thought that when he was with Columbus, he could come in for a guy like Rafael Borre, that I thought in terms of profile, in terms of productivity, Cucho could do just as much or even more than what Borre can do. But when it comes to the starting positions, John Cordova, John Hader Duran, I mean, I guess he kind of ruined his career now going to Al Nassr instead of staying in the Premier. So maybe you take that spot. But there's just a lot of talent up top for Colombia. Yasser Asprilla is a guy that's very young, that has a lot of eyes looking at him, that has a lot of potential. You still have guys like oh man, why is this escaping my mind? The guy from River Plate. There's just a lot of other Colombian strikers that can take that position. So is he going to do better? Can he do better? Can he make a name of himself with Real Betis? Surely I think he has a talent, but I think that there are still a couple of shoe-ins for starters above Cucho Hernández.
All right, I got a couple other national storylines that I wanted to talk to you about, but let's do some Sounder stuff first because I think that's what the people want to hear. I was given, I guess let's just start with your general thoughts on where things stand this preseason. I'll give mine again. I already told the chat earlier, I think, but I'll repeat it for you, and then you can give your take. The way I feel right now is, I mean, I feel like there's been a lot more drama around MLS this offseason than even usual, just with all this transfer movement and holdouts. You got FC Cincinnati with their Lucho Acosta situation. You got Oriano and Yuya Kubo holding out over there. You got the Galaxy shedding all kinds of salary cap. You got Messi getting the sporting director sent to Coral Gables, Florida. Seattle hasn't really been involved in any of that. There was the minor dust up with Jackson Reagan and the U.S. national team stuff. That was like a little bit of drama, but for the most part, it's been kind of nice to see Seattle not have to deal with any of that kind of just off-field stuff. Everyone reported. Everyone seems locked in, and I really like how the attack has looked so far during preseason. We were watching the JP interview after the scrimmage today, and he was talking about the new formation and how it's kind of he feels like they're generating more chances and they're going to be able to score more goals this year, which of course, like he's probably going to say that no matter what, but like if you look at the results they've gotten on the field so far, it seems like there is something to what he's saying. So overall, like I like what I'm seeing so far, and it's got me locked and loaded for the season. How are you feeling about this preseason so far, just generally?
I think it's been as exciting and as groundbreaking as it's been in a long time. I mean, we had Atlanta in there bringing Miguel Marone and going and spending all this money. You got Austin spending a lot of money. You got Columbus Crew, like we just talked about, just breaking it all down and try to rebuild it back up, regardless of them having a really good roster. You got the LAFC component where you don't really know which way they're going. They got some good pieces with the Boba, but I mean, it looks like they really changed everything up. They lost Murillo, they lost Ilie Sanchez, so what are we going to get out of the LA Galaxy next season? And how can Steve Cherundolo put this team going? So there's a lot of things going on. I think San Jose has been interesting. I mean, they have been as exciting as they've ever been in the preseason, or the off season, if you will, with Bruce Arena and Chicho Arango, and they got Joseph Martinez and Hernández. I mean, they seem to have a really good squad down there. So I just think it's been exciting. I don't know if we can look at teams like Sporting Kansas City and going and getting a guy like Joveljic and all of these other guys, Garcia, and you still don't know if they're going to be a playoff team because there's just so many unknown variables. And then you got a team like the Sounders where they went the other way on you and they decided to stay with continuity. They decided to stay with guys that were going to perhaps to be a tight-knitting group, and that if you want to look at it in a FIFA sort of situation, there's that chemistry is at 80-90% because you got guys that just vibe with each other, right? Ariola and Ferreira, and how that's going to play out. So I just think it's very unpredictable. It's been unpredictable. And I like that, man, from the standpoint of some equality of play and some I hate going into a season in, the Bundesliga and knowing the two teams that are going to be on top of that league. I like the fact that you don't get that in MLS. And this offseason, this preseason has been as wild as any that I can remember. Even the Chicago Fire making me excited to go watch them. And when have the Chicago Fire been exciting? I can't remember the last time they've been exciting, with Greg Berhalter and everything that's being cooked down there. So I think it is groundbreaking, and it's just good to see.
Yeah, I mean, when I look around the league, the question I was asking myself earlier today, just looking at the transfer movement that's taken place this offseason, I was asking myself, who clearly got better? Like, which of these teams clearly after their roster maneuvering this offseason, is going into this season confident that they are better as it stands right now than they were last year. And there's not really that many teams that you could name that I think that you can definitively say that. The off seasons that I like the most, I think I really like what Atlanta is doing. I don't know how much you know about this Latte Loth guy, but I was saying on our show the other day, I think Almiron coming back for Atlanta might be the best move that any team made all off season. Like, I think that was we were kind of joking about how the replacement for Miguel Almiron was staring them in the face the whole time. You know, it was just Miguel Almiron himself. So I think that was a great move. And then I think getting Cleek, Mateus Cleek from DC United was a sneaky good move for them. And I think Almiron and Saba Lobandize or whatever, that guy looked pretty good last year. And if this Latte Loth guy, I mean, I don't know about breaking the league transfer record for him. That seems like a little like Arthur Blank flexing. Like I was kind of looking at his resume and I was like, is this guy going to be better than Giacomakis? Like, I don't know, but they don't really need him to be. They just need like a good striker and a better foundation around him. And then with Almiron and Lobandinze, like, I think Atlanta honestly can say that they have very good reason to believe they got better. I really like LAFC's off season too. We were going through that with Abobasi and Mark Delgado. I love Nkosi Tafari. I think that was a great move. Yeah. And Yaya Boa, I think that was another sneaky good move that they made. But like you mentioned with them, they lost a lot too. So it's kind of anyone's guess as to whether they're actually better. They might be. Like, I like the moves, but like, I don't know if you can definitively say that. And then the Galaxy are really they're up against it with the cap and stuff. It seems like more than I took into account going into the off season. I think Seattle, you could argue at least, improved on paper, which take that however you will. I think you could argue on paper they improved more than anyone else in the West. Like, once you get past the LA teams, you got Real Salt Lake, you got Houston, they're kind of wheeling and dealing. But Minnesota, Colorado, Vancouver, Portland, I don't know that any of these teams, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, that team's way better than it was last year. And then in the East, Columbus is going through it right now. Cincinnati has been going through it all off season. I guess that's one thing that do you have any do you know what's going on with like Oriano and Acosta and Yuya Kubo, why they have so many holdouts? Like, have you heard anything about that?
Just on Lucho and Orellano, they obviously are looking elsewhere. And they, specifically Lucho, I think he is been thinking beyond MLS. He's a guy that has been extremely productive and, you know, one of the best players in MLS for a very long time. I think Cincinnati, in its own way, unfortunately for that fan base, that window of championship has closed, in my opinion. I mean, it closed. They had a moment, they had a couple of years where it couldn't beat them. They were unable to take advantage of that. And now a guy like Lucho is leaving, thinking elsewhere, a lot like Evander, where, you know, you just don't feel like you are getting enough out of what you were hoping to get. And now you're getting ready to go. So I just think Cincinnati is going to have a real hard time, at least with those two guys. Kubo, I have no insight on. I'm not really sure why, when you're a utility guy and a guy that's probably played well above his potential in so many areas, is having any sort of issues with Cincinnati. But all in all, the East all of a sudden has become, it literally went from being the strongest conference and very clearly being the strongest conference to losing so much in their own end. Because you just talked about Columbus, which one of the top teams, 1, 2, and 3, Cincinnati, we just talked about them, and then Miami getting rid of, I guess we could say, of Chris Henderson and, you know, letting go of Diego Gomez and letting go of Tata. I have a hard time sitting here in front of you and telling you Miami's going to be just as good as they were last year. Yes, they have Messi. Yes, they have Alba. Yes, they have Luis Suarez. But a lot of those co-starred players are no longer going to be there. Call me crazy, but I thought that Campana was a very productive guy that was key coming off the bench or just being a rotational player. You knew what he was going to get you right off the bench. I don't think they have that right now. They lost Facundo Farias as well. I mean, there's so many players that I thought were going to be good with that team that are no longer there. Do they have the money? Do they have the checkbook to just make it happen? Sure. But I just don't see it right now for Miami. So when you got those three teams that were royalty in the East, now with so many question marks, man, I think it's anybody's game out there. I mean, like, we just talked about Atlanta. I think Atlanta right now is very easily a contender to take the East because of the acquisitions, because of the front office, right? We were literally just talking about a guy like Emmanuel Latte that, sure, that 22 million seem like a reach, but anytime that you have a talent assessor like Chris Henderson and a brilliant guy in the checkbook department, like Garth Lager was saying, this guy is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time not giving him the benefit of the doubt. And when you look at that team and what for sure Emmanuel's going to bring to that team is speed, is finishing, is a guy that's going to get behind the nine, is a guy that's going to get so many services behind those guys. They already have the width. They already got a guy like Saba that's bought into playing wing back. I mean, they just have so many weapons right now that it's hard not to look at Atlanta and just say, man, they might be able to take it. So I think the big difference this year is that the East all of a sudden has opened up to being anybody's game, to the Western Conference maybe being a little bit more predictable than it has been over the last couple of years.
Am I crazy, or is the fact that Inter Miami just installed Lionel Messi's footballing godfather, academy director, as sporting director, could that have more ripple effects than people are talking about? Because my thing is, like, when I look at that, it's all well and good to hire someone in July, and then he gets into it with Messi, I guess, on the bus. They demote him, and now you basically have Messi's handpicked guy who you have as your sporting director. I have no idea what to make of whether he is qualified for that job or not. Who's to say what that guy's going to do when he gets in there? It seems like it's kind of just like a slept on wild card with them, that they have this sporting director that if nothing else, he could be a great sporting director. Is he not going into that job with just absolutely no experience at all?
And he's one of two, because if you look at me and ask me, does Javier Mascherano has any sort of credibility as a head coach? I'm gonna tell you no. He was iffy with the U20 in Argentina, and he has no experience beyond that. So yes, this is just the let's make Lionel Messi happy camp. And if tomorrow he wanted to turn the pink in Miami to the albiceleste colors of Argentina, they might just do it. They might just do it, because the game is let's keep Messi happy. And it's sad because I don't think that they realize how important a guy like Chris Henderson was for that franchise, that understands the rules, that understands the system, that is so well networked, that is such a good talent scout, that can let you know what's going on. And Tata Martino, that he was also a recruiter, that he was a strategist, that he was a motivator. And now you're going in just guns blazing with just Messi's friends. He was already Messi's friends on the field. Now it's Messi's friends off the field. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of how I see it too. And I think basically what they seem to be banking on is, as long as the Barca boys are together and relatively healthy and can play 70 to 75% of the minutes, they're just, so much better than everyone else, that basically who the sporting director is immaterial. Like that might be true for however long the Barca boys can still carry the load, but they're not going to be able to do that for that many more years. And I mean, I really think that like they're at the very least, they're putting themselves in a pretty sketchy situation as far as like their future roster building beyond the Barca boys by sort of like giving this guy the job to placate Messi, who has, I mean, Noah and I were talking about this, but like this is one of the hardest leagues in the world to be a sporting director in. Like all the roster stuff you got to understand. It just kind of like it almost blows my mind that they're just giving it to somebody who has no experience at all. So
no, to the comment right here, yes, San Jose is definitely probably the team that has improved the most.
They had the biggest gap.
But I would argue that Seattle got better without a doubt. I mean, there's no doubt that Seattle got better. You see it in the preseason. You see it on paper. I thought Austin, we still don't know what they're going to really do because I don't believe in the coaching staff right now, but they definitely got better in terms of talent and in terms of what they could potentially do. So that's another team that's exciting. And Sporting Kansas City, whether you want to believe it or not, maybe I'm higher on Joveljic than most. I've been high on Joveljic since I thought he should have been the option over Javier Hernández when Chicharito was still in the LA Galaxy. But I think this guy is an assassin up top, and I think he's going to have a fantastic season. It's his team now. It is Joveljic's team up top. There's no one else that's going to do what he can do. I love the fact that this team got another creative player in Manu Garcia. They still have a lot of talent there. Can they really tighten things up defensively? That's the only question mark. But I think the Sporting Kansas City is another team that got significantly better this offseason.
Yeah. So the thing about a team like San Jose, like I agree, their roster looks way better now than it did going into the offseason. And I think Bruce Arena, like that gives you obvious like experience and stability. They got Chicho Arango. That's a big get. But like the thing is, a team like that has so much more ground to make up that like how much they improve theoretically on paper over the offseason oftentimes takes longer to bear out than you would think, and sometimes it doesn't bear out at all. Like that's why, like as exciting an offseason as Seattle or as San Jose had, and as Atlanta United have had, you really like don't always want to be the team that's having the exciting offseason with a lot of turnover. Like people, I think, view the fact that Seattle is returning so many of the same players as last year as a negative, and I get that. Like from an excitement standpoint, it's a negative, but there's something to be said for at least some degree of continuity where you can kind of like project and rely on what you're going to get a little bit more in that situation, like maintaining continuity and making supplementary additions. And in this case, one like major addition with Jesus Ferreira. You would rather be in that situation than a team like San Jose or even Atlanta, like for all the movement that they're doing, which is exciting. Like you never know how it's going to work out until the games actually start. So as for Disc Golfer's question about Austin FC, I pulled up the ins and outs for every team here just to like give it be able to tell more specifics. But Austin FC, if you look at their offseason, the players in, they got Ilie Sanchez there to sell tires. They got Brandon Vasquez, that was one of the bigger moves of the offseason from CF Monterrey. They got this guy Duber Sarski, midfielder, who I haven't heard of, and then like a couple other transfers of guys who it's like I don't really know much about who they are. I think they're probably more like role players. So really, like Austin FC's improvement, I feel like a lot of it to me looks like it's hedging on Brandon Vasquez, which is certainly they were rolling out Giassi Zardes and like Maxi Arudi, I think, last year.
And Obrian.
And then Driussi turned out to be cooked. I still cannot believe that River Plate gave them $10 million. Can we just talk about that real quick? Because that honestly drives me nuts. Driussi was literally openly like holding out and talking about how he wasn't going to play for them next year. And River Plate parachuted in and was like, apparently they were like, we're going to give you $10 million for him without even negotiating, because I like, from where I sit, what you do as the interested team every single time is you try and leverage and take advantage of the fact that the player is disgruntled and doesn't want to be there. I would, if I was River Plate, I would have said, I'll give you a couple $1,000,000 for Driussi, and if you don't want to take that, keep him and see how that works out for you. He's not playing for you. He already said that he's not playing for you. So whatever offer that we give you, you kind of have to take unless you get a better one. But he also said that we're the only club that he wants to play for. So how, with all of those variables taken into account, how does River Plate still give them $10 million for Driussi?
Because they have the money, they have the expendable cash. They really wanted him. But I'm totally with you, man. I wouldn't have paid that much money, as much as I understand that he's a quality player, but he was way beyond consistent for Austin. It was always an issue. It was always a problem. To me, he was a guy that wasn't willing to put the team on his shoulders. And look, it's not all on him. Austin wasn't great. There wasn't a huge role players. They missed on a whole bunch of DPs that they brought in that were absolutely awful. But at the end of the day, man, it's incredible the way these South American players are coming here to MLS and revaluing themselves and then going back. Like Alan Velasco. Alan Velasco, as great as he was, and the potential level was there, but he never broke the league. He was never a guy that said,
average. He was below average in MLS.
Absolutely. He never took Dallas anywhere, and now he's in Boca Juniors and left for a significant amount of money. We could say the exact same thing about Thiago Mata. It's all these guys that just came and went through the back door, if you will, and they just got a payday for their club and for themselves, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. Charlotte FC is a team that I think a lot of the pundits are picking to take a step forward. It doesn't look like they made all that many moves, at least by our records, except they're bringing Pep Biel back, and Eric Williamson. They got him from the Timbers, who is an underrated player, but hurt a lot. So I don't know. Charlotte FC, I'm kind of not as high on them as some people seem to be, but they were actually not bad last year. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, the Chicago Fire, this is an exciting offseason. I mean, you mentioned it a little bit, but look at this list of players in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Sam Rogers, 8, 9, 10. We got 11 incoming players. These players out, they have even more. So that's the thing. There's so much uncertainty that comes with that. Like, Bamba is supposedly a good signing, but you never know. Jack Elliott, that was a good signing, and I think Berhalter gives you some stability there too. So,
but again,
but
it's gonna take time. I mean, that's the thing people don't realize, that especially for a guy like Greg Berhalter, that is a soccer module type of guy, he's gonna have to come in, bring out his curriculum, get guys to buy in on what he's trying to sell, get all these new guys to buy in on what he's selling, and then also adapt to a whole new place, adapt to a whole set of new players. So on paper, I like what I'm seeing out of Chicago. And again, it's been a while since we've been excited about a Chicago team, because there was always that, is coaching really that good? Not really. Is the roster really that good? I don't think so. And it seems like going into the season, you have both the coaching and the roster together. So for a club that was one of the originals, one of the teams that should be a big market team, it's good to see them with all of these new faces that could potentially and hopefully at least put you into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. But I'm always very wary about situations like these, where I think Greg Berhalter is in no rush to get this team top of the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, right? Which is very different than like a Bruce Arena that's going to immediately raise your floor, and that's without a doubt what he's going to do. In my opinion, Berhalter is a little bit more calculated and slow processed, and whether they make the playoffs or not, to me, still out in limbo. But they will be a better team than they were last season in many other ways, right? He's going to have to create a lot of other things, like a foundation within their youth squads and their academy, and try to figure things out from that point. And then maybe we'll see some changes in 1 to 2 years in Chicago. But I wouldn't bet on this Fire team to just completely take over the league immediately.
Chicago Fire are like the poster club for why the ambition discourse has become so meaningless to me. Like, Chicago Fire have shown more ambition in the transfer market than just about anybody. Like, there's a few teams you could put above them, but not many. Their owner now has like maybe not Arthur Blank money, but like something close to it. They got Shaqiri, they got Schweinsteiger, they got this guy, they got that guy. The Chicago Fire, I don't even take when Seattle plays them, I don't even take them seriously as a credible opponent. Probably more than anyone in the league. When Seattle played them last year, I predicted their scoring the first goal and then immediately giving up the equalizer. That's like, they're like a meme club. So it's just like an example of the fundamentals of your organization. I think to me, that's like what matters first and foremost, like your youth development, your scouting, just how all that stuff functions. And then like the money starts to matter. But like, till you have that initial stuff, like, I don't really like how much money you spend. Doesn't mean a lot to me.
And the importance of having some idea of what a coach needs to do, right? I mean, Ezra Henderson was brought in to be a guy that was going to grow within the club, do this and the other, wasn't given enough time, wasn't given enough talent, and then he was a scapegoat and then was just cut out from the top. And that was the exact same thing for every other coach that they were bringing in, whether it was in-house or not. Now, Greg Berhalter is finally a good hire, but any time that you rush that, whether it's the interview process or the amount of time that you allow a coach to actually build you a franchise, I just think you're going absolutely nowhere. We can say the same thing about Vancouver. We can say the exact same thing about San Jose before Bruce Arena. So there are all of these patterns to shitty teams, if you will, and Chicago has that written all over it. Can they hold on to Greg Berhalter and really change the plan? Perhaps. I think he's a guy that can do it, but once again, I think he's going to take some time.
Just going down the list of teams here. The biggest signing for FC Cincinnati, obviously, this offseason was Kevin Danke, who he's their new DP number 9. They had Bupenza last year, and that was, remember him? He got in the fight with a guy at a bar, and then it turned out the guy was a MMA fighter, and he kind of got rocked. That was his legacy on FC Cincinnati. So that was a great signing, great fit. But needless to say, he's not on the team anymore. Okay, so Kevin Danke won the Golden Boot in the Belgian league, and I want to flag this off the top. I feel like this is a pattern in MLS where the Golden Boot winner from the Belgian league comes over here for a bunch of money and then like isn't that good. Like you had Dante Van Zier, and then there was one other last year, or like in the last couple of years, that I'm missing. Like, I'm just saying, this guy could be amazing, he could be good, but I'm just kind of calling this out as a potential pattern to keep an eye on this year and the years ahead. Like, I'm pretty sure this whole like just buying whoever led the Belgian league in goals, that might not work. That might not be a good strategy. Where like Denke's going to give us another case study this year, but I'm just saying there's some recent history to suggest that might not be the best strategy.
Yeah, now Kevin Kelsey's gone. I thought he was a guy that, they brought in, I believe it was a U22 initiative, but
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot to go there. He
He's
did
on the
not
team
get play
team
time.
now.
He now is in Portland, right? And I think he's going to be a quality striker down there. But Cincinnati, for everything they did right at some point, it seemed like they just rocked the boat way too hard. And now we don't really know what we're going to see from them in 2025.
Looking at the crew here, man, like Matan, Yaya Boa, Cucho, Hinestroza, Keegan Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, three of those, that's their best player and MVP candidate, and then a couple really important players from their team last year. We're gonna really see the chops of Wilfried Nancy until they get their Cucho replacement. Like, he's rightfully earned his reputation as the best coach in the league. But he also, like, his crew teams have been very loaded. So in the short term here, it feels like we're really going to get to see Wilfried Nancy and what he can do. FC Dallas, look at this list of incoming players. Let's look at their offseason here.
The fire sale.
Yeah. I mean, they got Leo Chu, blockbuster. Anderson Julio. Anderson Julio is sort of like the Leo Chu of Real Salt Lake. Is that fair? He's like probably a little better.
A little more productive, but yes, sure.
Like relatively similar tier of players. You got Lalas Abubakar, who's a veteran CB. You got Shaq Moore, who is a famously popular U.S. men's national team player.
Good player.
Yeah, like you said, this is like a full-on rebuild. Like the players out list. Look at this. Oh my God. Jesus Ferreira, Paul Arriola, and Velasco were the tip of the iceberg. I mean, Tafari, Frazier, Ruan, like it's just so many guys. Ira Maendi, is that how you say that?
Yep, Ijara Mendy. Look, I've said this in several shows. I think FC Dallas is in a journey to find their identity again. They had a huge identity crisis over the last 5 years. It's been a shit show. They have a real hard time figuring out if they're just a selling team, if they want to really be competitive within MLS. What happened to guys that they were trying to build up, like Pamacol and Jesus Ferreira, and now Pamacol is completely lost, and there's milk cartons with his face on it, and Jesus Ferreira is in Seattle. So there's just so many things out of Dallas that have not been done correctly, and I think the fire sale, and we said this early when we broke the Jesus Ferreira situation in the conversations with Seattle. The first thing I heard from Dallas is everything must go. It is, we're going to bring it down and take it down to the studs, and we're going to rebuild it. And that's what it seems like is happening here. From Velasco to Jesus to Arriola to all the guys that you just mentioned, Dallas is in a full-on rebuild to 2025, and we don't know what we're going to get out of them this season.
They might be in the biggest rebuild in the league right now, just looking at this. I wanted to just scroll down to Seattle's just to like compare it to some of the other ones that we've looked at. Let's see here. I mean, okay, real quick though, FC Cincinnati, the players in, obviously. I mean, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on their roster. I don't really outside of Chucky and like Boateng and Luca Della Torre, like I can't say I've deep dove their full roster, but I always like to deep dive an expansion roster. I'm kind of curious what they're gonna do, like just because they're a new team, but also this Tyler Heaps guy. Do you know much about this guy? Like I know he's the son of Jay Heaps, who used to be the coach of the Revs, but to me, a little similar to Inter Miami. I'm a little not sure about the wisdom of handing the reins to an expansion team roster to someone who's never been a sporting director or a GM in the league,
No, that's fair.
Like,
I thought that there were some misses from them in the expansion draft. I thought that they could have potentially put themselves in a better position to have real quality guys in there. You look at guys like Chucky and you wonder how motivated he's going to be to come and really be the franchise leader for San Diego. You look at a guy like Franco Negri, who missed so much time at Inter Miami, and he was a quality fullback that, when he came here from Godoy Cruz, you thought he was going to be a lot better than he was. Can he rebuild that? Tomas Angel, he spent most of his time either on the bench of LAFC, or I think he went to the Las Vegas Lights or some USL team where he was loaned out to, Phoenix maybe, but he just was not a guy that was given a lot of MLS time. So to me, when I look at that roster, I see a lot of players that are not proven in MLS, and even their all-stars. You're wondering what their adaptation time is going to be and their motivation in general. Look at it. Look, he's a guy that he's a quality midfielder. He's a guy that many were shocked that he was coming back to MLS. Can he be a guy that's going to be your building block for a new franchise? Man, it's tough to see. So between the inexperience at the front office level to the inexperience on the field, I just don't love the roster built there when it comes to an expansion team. But it's going to be at least fun to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely just looking at this list of incoming players now. Feels like a situation where they're going to be extremely reliant on Chucky, and like they need that to hit big. Which, you could say that about any expansion teams like first DP signing, but like I always kind of think of expansion teams as, are they more towards the Atlanta United LAFC end of it, or more towards like the early days FC Cincy and Minnesota United end of it? And I feel like I've seen enough of these entries into the league at this point where, like, LAFC, you could kind of tell they were going to be good, right? Like
of course.
As soon as they got Vela and Rossi, those were flashy moves, and then it just really, their roster build the whole time, it was like, all right, this team probably is going to be a factor from the jump. We'll see what happens with San Diego, but I don't like, just going off vibes, I'm not sure I'm on the vibe that they're on that LAFC end of the spectrum yet.
No, they're really not. They're kind of in the middle. The way I look at Nashville, right? Nashville was a team that they did not make big splashy signings, but they had guys like Godoy, like Zimmerman. They had building blocks that were going to make you competitive in every game. I feel like San Diego isn't quite there. They seem like they want to be more of a splashy signing sort of club, but they haven't done enough of it. And I don't see a lot of those building blocks either. So it might be one of those teams that is like the Austin of when Austin first came into the league, where there were some quality guys. It was a fun vibe. It was, El Verde, and it was Matthew McConaughey just making you want to watch the games. And you had a guy like Wolf that tried to put together a good curriculum, but he never really fluctuated or reflected itself into success. That's the way I see the San Diego team.
Omar Gonzalez, disc golfer, I believe, is still without a team. I have not heard of him signing anywhere. All right, let's look at San Jose too, because a lot of people have been talking about them in these discussions of like the most improved teams. You were saying you liked what they were doing with Bruce Arena. Just looking at this list of incoming players, you got a lot of proven vets like Mark Anthony Kaye, Dave Romney, Nick Lima. Like those are low key really important moves. Like Cucho is obviously like the highlight of it, but I like what they're doing, like bringing in like safe floor type of guys, I guess. What have you liked about what they've been doing under Bruce so far?
It's just a roster build. They kept the best out of last season, and they really put it together with some quality guys of what you were missing, which were goals, right? I'm I'm still not sold on the defensive end and the goalkeeping in San Jose, but when it comes to improving overall, I really like it, right? So you kept Pellegrino, you kept Hernan Lopez, which I think he's a creative player of almost Ricky Push-like qualities, and he can, at his best game, be very Ricky Poo-ish when it comes to the way he handles the reins of that team. And then bringing in a guy like Chicho Hernández, like Chicho Arango, that in his first year is always going to be his best year. They are giving themselves a chance to just be very good. They brought in Grueso still. They kept him, a guy that is going to give you the leadership in midfield, the veteran experience. To me, when I look at this squad, I see a team that with Bruce Arena and his game module, they're going to be just a difficult team to play with some real talented offensive pieces that, to me, have the look of a playoff team in the Western Conference. Can they do it? I'm not sure, but to me, that's a team I'm looking to get a playoff spot.
They gave up 78 goals last year. That
Ridiculous.
was the MLS record. That's hard. That's hard to do. Like Seattle gave up 35. Like that. That was the league lowest mark. But it's just like, guys, imagine being a fan of a team that ships 80 goals almost in a 34 game season. That is like a statistical achievement. Like as much as I love the Chicho move for them, and I think like Joseph is low-key still a pretty consistent, like I feel like a depth striker. Like I kind of like the Chicho Joseph stack that they have there, but I mean, like you were saying, really for them, like they really just should be really focused on their defensive midfield and back line.
That might be their Achilles heel. That's where I haven't seen enough acquisitions. But again, I give Bruce a lot of respect in that end. And I feel like if anyone can make, lemonade out of whatever he has, is Bruce Arena in that end. And when you have veteran midfielders like Resso, like Harks, even Espinosa, he's been a guy that's been so good for San Jose for as long as he's been. I think that there's enough components there where they could be a team that surprises some folks. And I don't expect them to be done. I expect them to go out there and get a couple of defensive pieces as well.
Okay, this kind of brings up something I've been thinking about. Like I've been formulating kind of my theory on like how I would build a roster if I was a GM. Like, what are the most important things to prioritize, right? Like, what areas of the field do you want to target? And the more I think about it, and the more that I look at the teams in the league that are successful, some of them, it's like a lot of it is attributable to them spending money on like super high-end talent, or like LAFC when they were building their roster, like going out and splashing on Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi. So like there is that element of it where you have to be willing and able to like go out and flex your muscle and get big names like that. But for me, if I was building a team, this is what I was thinking about. I think the first thing I would do is just spam as much quality as I possibly could in your defensive midfield and your back line. Just get that spine and your defense just as high quality as it's possible to get them, and basically not disregard the rest of it, but like just try and make as sure as you can like that is shored up first and foremost, and you can like at least have a floor from there. And then once you feel good about where you're at with that, then you can then it really makes sense to go, all right, we're going to go splash on this guy. But like, I think sometimes like what gets teams into trouble is like, they'll go buy, like Chicago will go buy a Shaqiri, or even Atlanta with their Almada and their Barco and their Giacomakis stuff. Like they were sort of just like spending all that money when they had knockoff D mids and a pretty bad back line and they didn't have the foundation to like make that like splashy spending matter. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like it's sort of like football teams that like get a really sick running back or wide receiver, but no offensive line. Like,
Yeah.
you got to, I would just spam the foundation is what I'm saying. And I think like, it's something that Seattle's done a good job of is, developing like a lot of people say they only develop 6s and 8s, but I think that's actually kind of a good strategy because that's easier to develop than like a winger or a striker. And now they've had these guys on the team for the last couple years, like Danny Leyva and Josh Atencio, and now Obed Vargas. Obed like totally broke out, but he also, I don't know, like that was basically my thought. Like, what?
The way I see it is you got to have a spine to your team. In my opinion, need a goalkeeper, center back, midfielder, whether it's creative or defensive, and a striker. That I'm going to focus on that middle, on having those players to really build my team. You saw with St. Louis where they got a great goalkeeper, they got a good defense, they got quality midfielders and a striker like Klaus that took the league by storm. All that together with a collective unit that had a specific identity of high pressing. This is the way we're going to beat out teams, and it comes together. Look at Orlando when Oscar Pereira went there and got Pedro Gallese and got Jensen. And you got quality midfielders, and whether it was Daryl DK or whoever was up top, he always had a quality striker, and he's been successful. In a lower sense, Nashville, they kind of focus more on the defensive components, but they did that for you. So I'm totally with you. I think you do build, and you should build your teams from the back end to the front end, just to give yourself a chance every single game that you're in, and you're not always trying to beat out teams the way like Portland did last season, where they were one of the most productive offensive teams. I want to say they scored the most goals in the Western Conference, but they gave up so many points and so many goals that they never made the playoffs. So there is a balancing act there where, to me, if you start at the back end, you're always going to give yourself a chance.
Nashville had it right. They had it right. Like, they did pretty much exactly what I'm talking about, and they had a pretty successful entry into the league because of that. They just never took the next step of like adding the dynamic talent that they needed to on top of that. Like, that's where they kind of fell off the path. They basically were just like, we got Hani Mukhtar, one of the best players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to have him do literally everything for 3 or 4 years straight and like not spend money or try and give him much reinforcements. There's just like only so far you can get with that. But like, I think, I mean, Seattle kind of took a similar tact, I think, in they came into the league in 2009 with a pretty solid foundation. And I think they were also smart to basically be like, we're going to be the Open Cup merchants and like generate excitement around that. I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't seem like any team since then has followed that blueprint of like, we're going to make our initial like statement to the league being like, are we going to win MLS Cup or like go to it? Maybe not, but like, we're going to go in for Open Cup. And that like really, I think, added to the excitement of Seattle's early days. But anyway, let's look at Seattle's real quick, folks. We got Niko Moreno for about 10 more minutes here before he has to cut out. So if you got any questions for him or anything that you want us to talk about while we still got him on, go ahead and drop him in the chat. Did Johnny Russell sign anywhere? Don't believe so either.
I have not heard of it yet. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he'll stay within MLS, but maybe like the WWE also might be a factor in the negotiations there. Like, he might be signing on with them. I don't know. Like, we'll have to find out. But anyway, let's look at Seattle's incoming, outgoing list here. Leo Burney, Trevion Sosa, Jesus Ferreira, Albert Rusnak re-signed, João Paulo re-signed, Paul Arriola, Kim Ki-hee. I mean, I think Ferreira and Areola, like we've talked about ad nauseum as the biggest additions, and I really consider De La Vega like essentially like an addition that wasn't. Maybe that's kind of where I look at it differently than some people. Is I think that at least has the potential to be like to have the effect of a new signing because he didn't play last year. But I guess let's talk about a couple of these under the radar guys because Trevion Sosa scored a goal today, and with the RBW injury, that role is probably his, I would imagine. But this Leo Burney guy, I think might play more this year than people realize. They seem pretty high on him, and he is he's like the Chad Marshall of the Ivy League. Like those Harvard kids and Brown University kids that he was playing against, those attackers, they could not do anything on this guy. He was like seriously dominant in that league. And then he was also one of the best players for Ballard FC. And he's from around here. So I don't know. It feels like Jackson Reagan vibes. Do you have any takes on preseason so far from what you've seen or what you've heard about either Burney or Sosa?
Yes. I actually disagree with Burney. I think that I think he'll get play time. I just think that he is the lowest guy in the totem pole when it comes to the center backs, and that includes Josh Atencio. So Yamar, Jackson, J Bell, Josh Atencio, Kim Kihi, then Burney, right? So is there going to be times where he's going to be able to get in, specifically with a Sounders team that seems to have a huge emphasis on playing with three in the back? Certainly. I think that there will be times where they'll go back to that standard 4-2-3-1, and that's when he'll once again drop even farther down in that depth chart. When it comes to Sosa, I thought that he is a serviceable fullback. I don't know if he's ready for the big leagues just yet. I think that just like Leo, there is some polishing to do, specifically for Sosa on the attacking end. He's very apprehensive, very slow on the transition moments. Yes, he had a goal today. I did not see that game, so I cannot give you much insight. I saw the second game from start to finish. But what I saw in the first preseason game, or 45 minutes, because that's all he played, I thought that there were some moments that it just wasn't quick enough. It wasn't smooth enough. Now, it's just preseason. I'm sure that he could get better as it goes. But me, specifically, I am higher on guys like Cody Baker, Kalani, who's not signed with the team at this time, Alex Roldan.
I think he's going to.
And Areola, J Bell as well. He can play outside. Obviously, Nuhu. If you go back to your 4-2-3-1, I think that there's other guys that are not Trevion that to me are more reliable to come in and just play for you.
More experience.
You get on it and get some minutes, sure, but I feel better with any of the guys that I just mentioned.
All right, we got a few questions in chat here, so let's like rapid fire some of these before we get you out of here. Starting with Brando K. Nico, your pick for breakout player for the Sounders this year. You can't say Atencio at CB because we already talked about how Doyle said that. Who do you think is going to burst onto the scene this year?
Woo! So none of the real big guys, right? Not Pedro, none of those guys, right?
I think you can say De La Vega. You can say that.
Yeah, I have De La Vega, and I'm kind of putting myself in a bad situation because if the Sounders continue to play with this three-man formation, as you saw today, the odd man out is Pedro De La Vega. But to me, he is going to have the breakout season for the Sounders, and I think that
a lot, like whether he's the first choice in the first choice formation, he's going to get a lot of minutes if he's healthy.
Yeah, so I like the physical component of it. I think he's in the best form we've seen him in. I think that his reads on where guys are at are, if not 3, maybe 4 seconds quicker than they were last season. A couple of the moments that he's had on transition when he's been part of the groups with Jordan Morris, with guys like Georgie, he really anticipates where they're going to be there early. So both on the distribution part as well as him breaking pressure with the ball and being a guy that's going to take you one-on-one and have defenses collapse on you, I think he's going to be one of the most influential players on the field, and therefore he's my breakout season candidate for the Sounders in 2025.
He's looked actively good this preseason. He has looked actively good. It does, he's got to do it in the games, but like pretty much everything that I would want to see from him in preseason, like hoping for a bounce back breakout year, he is showing that in these games. Like I think it's fair to say he's been the standout of camp. Most likely to plug in next to Christian if and when Obed is sold in the summer. I mean, I would say like the obvious answer there is JP, and that's why I was saying that like people were kind of not that hyped on the JP, or some people I guess were not that hyped on the JP signing. I was saying like there's going to come a point in this season with all these games and tournaments and stuff where I think everyone is going to be glad that they brought JP back. And I think assuming that they do sell Obed this summer after the Club World Cup, like it probably becomes a JP and Christian double pivot as your first choice. How would you line up the double pivot? Say JP has to rotate out. How would you line up the double pivot with Christian and no Obed?
It has to be Josh Atencio. I think he's the guy that comes in and gives you a lot of the things that Obed can provide you with. He likes to get on the ball. He likes to get forward. He's got the physical ability. So I think him and Christian would play off well from each other. If you're having to rotate JP, I think that Burnell is a guy that they're looking at very closely. That could potentially maybe play at that position.
They seem really high on him. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Out of all the like new homegrowns coming up, it just seems like his name comes up the most.
Yes. I think him and Gomez are two guys that they're very high on, and they are gonna potentially sign unless in the summer in U22 is a center midfielder, which would make sense if Obed is gone. And depending on who that is, does he get a lot of play time? But I think the obvious choice and your safe bet is JP.
Are we going to become a big pressing team? That's what I hear coming out of preseason. I've heard similar from people who have watched the games live, which I didn't do. Are you hearing and seeing similar? At least, yes. Like you think more than last year?
No, I mean I watched the game this morning, then I watched 45 right before I jumped on with you, and yeah, I mean from where the back line stands to the amount of numbers they are equivalent forward to press, that is without a doubt a concept situation where they got cut up a couple of times today. They got cut up, and that 2-2 in the 88th minute today was due to committing too many guys forward. You are unable to get what you wanted out of the press. Georgie's way too high. Yamar is out of position. He's having to track back. You're unable to correct. It's a foot race, and all of a sudden you got a guy in the end line who makes a cross. Cody Baker and New who are fighting about who should be getting the guy making the run into that far post, and is a 2-2 equalizer. So yes, I think that the pressing triggers that you're seeing today are going to be what the Sounders want to do, specifically off of this 3-5-2, 2-2-1-1, whatever you want to call it, 3-4-3, that they're trying to kind of put together, depending on the areas that they're playing on. I think that that's what they want to do. They're going to play with a very high line. They're going to press. They're going to try to get you to make mistakes the way they did today in the first half, but they have to be able to correct and be very disciplined, or they're going to have situations like today where somebody press plays right through your press, or they beat that first line of pressure with the ball over the top, and then you find yourself in some difficult situations. But to the question, yes, I think that this team is going to be a much higher pressing team than it has been in the past. Now, Brian Smetzer, and credit to him, he is not afraid to going back to what works. So if for some reason it becomes too much of a gamble, I don't see him having any sort of reluctantness to just pull the plug and saying, let's go back to what we do best.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I know everyone has been talking about for the last like couple years how they want a more aggressive, high pressing kind of chaos ball, entertaining style, which I understand that. Like that's my favorite type of soccer to watch as well, at least from an entertainment perspective. I do think it could be a be careful what you wish for situation, in the sense that like if they're like injecting more Red Bulls into their tactics and their game plans, like I don't think they're going to get cut up like they did today, all that like as often necessarily, but like they will concede more goals. Like I'll tell you that right now. Like the teams that do play like that, like the Galaxy and even Inter Miami, like they it's fun to watch, but they do concede a lot more. But I think a lot of Sounders fans kind of feel like they would take the more concessions for like more dynamic and entertaining and exciting offense, which I can understand that. But I guess what I'm saying is what I would be paying attention to with this tactical shift is like, can they strike that balance between like controlled aggression and high pressing and all that, but also like maintaining how good they are defensively.
Yeah, no, and it's a tough balancing act. And I think on the offensive end, under this formation, committing a lot of guys forwards has paid off. I mean, they've been able to score consistently. Today, they had a couple of opportunities that were created that should have ended in goals. I think that there are times where they play with 2 10s, with Albert and Ferreira being very free and coming back, checking in. There's a ball today where Ferreira gets it, in Sounders' own half. And he sees Jordan making a run, puts a great ball. Jordan is unable to finish, but there's a lot of movement, a lot of freedom with those midfielders, and I think that Albert and Pereira can do a lot of those things where they can be very unpredictable on where they're going to be at. Sometimes Pereira was very high, sometimes he was very high, sometimes he was right next to Jordan, sometimes he was way back here trying to create. Offensively, I feel like they've been very aggressive as well. So I have been encouraged and pleased with at least the concepts of what they want to do, both on defense and offense. The defensive part has lacked execution, but the idea is there for what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, the offense has looked sharp, and like I think that to me is more exciting than any concerns I have about the defense right now. But I do think that is just something to think about going into the season. Nico, it is 8:32. How much more time you got, if any? Do we need to roll you out of here? You got a few more minutes.
I got a couple more minutes. I just want to talk a little bit about today's game, and
yeah, floor is yours.
I definitely think that guys like Obed Vargas and Christian Roldan are going to have big seasons. I think that the understanding of what Obed wants to do is absolutely there. I think Jesus Ferreira fits in so many ways that, I didn't want to put him as my breakout player because he's one of your top signings. So that's kind of easy pickings, but I think he's going to be
11 player in the league already too.
Right. So he's going to be very influential right off the bat. And I think that him and Jordan are really seeing eye to eye where they want to be. I'm a little concerned with Albert. He came off with an injury today. I believe it was the 22nd, 24th minute or so. And Smetzer is yelling at him, "Go down, Albert, just go down." So I don't know if he felt something and was trying to play through it, or, is it the hip thing that's been bugging him? It makes me a little concerned, and I wanted to bring that up here because he is a guy that you brought in as your DP. You're hoping to be the guy, but what I've seen out of Ferreira has been so encouraging that hopefully not, if you were to miss a couple of weeks without a guy like Albert under this same formation, it's very easy to just take him out, put Pedro in, and all of a sudden you got a lot of what you were kind of working for. Maybe a guy that's even more dynamic and more unpredictable to the to the essence of what Brian wants to do, of just having a whole bunch of guys crash the box when your wing backs give you all the width, and you got to have a guy like Georgie that consistently gets to that end line and can make a good cross, and having a guy like Pedro, that if you saw the highlights today, because that's all we really saw from the first team, he had a couple of chances on goal, didn't quite finish, but he's in all the right spots.
Good. So looked good in the right spots.
I think Pedro de la Vega is a guy that gives you a lot of assurance, just in case that Albert isn't quite right and might need a little bit of time off.
Yeah, that chance that de la Vega had today, like if you give him, if he gets in spots like that and you give him service like that, like those will start turning into goals. I think, his movement, it just looks so much more like crisp and confident, and like it's like he's figured out like the tendencies of the guys he's playing with a lot more, so he can get into those spots easier. Got a new YouTube member, yay! BN, much appreciated. Guys, that is an excellent way to support the show if you want to. No obligation, but I think that gives us about like 14 YouTube members now, so we take that. BN, appreciate you a lot.
Yeah, there you go, and bring it in, man. I'm going to be coming in with, the Lobbing Scorchers guys more consistently, man. I'm going to try to be out here.
We got an announcement. Let's announce it. We're right now, guys. We're planning. Nico and I are planning on going live on Monday mornings. Every Monday during the season, we're gonna have that be our schedule to start it out. See if that works. But it's basically gonna be it's just gonna be like a Niko Moreno Lobbing Scorchers Monday morning crossover. We're gonna review whatever Sounders game just took place, and do a lot of national stuff. Like I feel like we're both on the national game, so it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun. Mondays at 8 a.m. is the plan right now. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm excited to get that rolling. I think we're gonna have a good season of content. Brendan has an interesting comment in chat here that I want to talk about. He says, I would definitely prefer run and gun offense versus a conservative style of play. Battling to win 1-0 in a boring game is great, but losing 3-4 in a thriller is sometimes preferable. It sells the game. Okay. A lot of people say that, and you say that now. But when the reality of losing those games 4-3 week in, week out sets in, I think you would take the 1-0 wins. I do. Losing sucks, man. It sucks. It doesn't, if you score 3 goals and lose, that sucks. It might have been fun to watch and it might have been exciting, but I just think that's one of those things that is said in theory, but then once it's actually in practice, you wouldn't enjoy it as much as you. Ask Chicago Fire fans how much fun it is to lose a game 4-3 or 4-2. They do that. They do that every week. So
Portland. I mean, how exciting was Portland from midfield up? It was exciting. Jonathan Rodriguez and Santi Moreno, and it was a party of goals, but they couldn't hold on to games to save their lives.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not as fun as it looks. DC United is another option. LA Galaxy first half of the season, before they were able to really put things together with Yoshida and Germane, and I believe they end up sitting Julian Alvarez. So there was many teams this season that, they were exciting when it came to scoring goals, but anytime that you cannot manage games and you are unable to have a steady defensive output, you're going to struggle every single time. That's the reason why Seattle made it as far as they did, because they had the best defense in the league. Without that, they have really nothing going for themselves. Could it have been a little bit better? Of course, if they would have had a little bit more offensive a little more TNT, a little more gunpowder, sure. But what got you where you got to was defensive. And that goes for every team in the league.
Yeah, Brendan, I do understand what you're saying, though. I understand why that people want the team to score more goals this year and just be more dynamic on offense in general. My hope and what I'm encouraged by seeing so far this preseason is that they know that and that they're taking that seriously. And this preseason is all with an eye towards improving that. Craig Wybes knows that too. Like, he literally, when they asked him about the fan frustration, he gave a quote that I thought was good, which is that he was like, I understand and agree with why people were frustrated watching us offensively for a lot of this season. I do think people don't give enough credence to how it improved down the stretch and into the playoffs. But I mean, I've been saying it, 51 goals in league play, not enough. So I get it, but I also I don't know about like wishing for full on LA Galaxy, or I don't know. The Galaxy, they got pretty good at like striking a balance, so it wasn't as reckless as it used to be. But
yeah, at the end of the season, they brought Garces, the Colombian center back. He did a lot of good things for him. And that settled a lot of situations that they needed to figure out. But that was the shift that put them from being a fun team to being a championship team. I mean, that's just the way it is. And it doesn't matter which way you dice it and slice it. That's what's going to get you there, is having that sort of balance. Without it, you're nothing. And I think Seattle this year can do enough out of both things. And again, I'm a little bit concerned that with this aggressive style of play on both ends of the ball, offensive, defensively, they can be vulnerable because you are trying to get all these new triggers and moments, and you have to be very cautious and disciplined at times. It makes me a little nervous that you're going to lose a lot of that understanding of just game management. But I get what he's saying. We all want to see entertaining soccer, man. I mean, that's the way it is.
And it was like pulling teeth watching this offense for a lot of the start of last season. Alex says the Sounders should have the offensive firepower and strong defense to win a lot of 2-0s instead of 1-0s. That would be progress. Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly hoping that that they score more. I mean, God knows they could have used that last year. So
yeah, I think this team is exactly what Alex just said. And look, I'll leave you guys on this one. The Sounders got one big acquisition, if you will, but if you go back to last season, you found a gem in the, with some rough edges in Georgie Manungu. I think he's going to be a lot better this season. So that's basically another player that you didn't have most of last season.
That would have been a good breakout pick, yeah.
Paul Rothrock was a breakout season for him. He's a guy that you didn't really know you were going to have. So there's number two. And then you got Pedro de la Vega. That was your DP that did not play enough because he wasn't healthy enough. If he stays healthy, man, that's three players that you did not really count on with last season that can give you a lot of productivity, and that to me all have a lot of potential. Specifically, Georgie and Pedro is the ones that I'm more excited to see next season, because anytime that Georgie is on the field, he's a handful. He was a handful today. He still has those issues where at times he's a little bit too quick to get the ball too forward and he gets dispossessed and things like that. But the guy is entertaining. So all in all, this team is much better offensively than they were last season. And if they can really be careful on being aggressive without giving too many goals, they're going to be, without a doubt, a contender in the Western Conference, especially in this Western Conference where there's so many question marks on those top teams. RSL, LA Galaxy, LAFC, Houston Dynamo, all those guys that were top of the West this season, there's question marks in every single one of those teams. And you know which one there's not a lot of question marks? The Seattle Sounders. Maybe their potential and their ceiling is not off the roof, but their floor is very high. And sometimes in MLS, that's worth more than anything. So I really appreciate you having me on, Ari, man. I got to get out of here, but let's do this, man. I'm excited for 2025, getting a lot of content, getting everybody's questions answered, providing weekly updates, news, everything we can, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time, Nico. And yeah, looking forward to this content this season. It's going to be good stuff. Thanks again for the time, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one, man.
Yes, sir.
That was Niko Moreno, Sounder at Heart, Pulso Sports. Great stuff from Nico as always. I'm good to hang out for a little bit longer. We're coming up on 2 hours. Still got 73 of you of you in here. Where's the lo-fi? I'm gonna pull up the lo-fi and do some plugs here, and then maybe get a few more things in, and then wind it down here. Appreciate everyone hanging out on this Wednesday night. Been enjoying these live shows, and we are going to keep doing them. And definitely get hyped for Lobbing Nico Monday morning content. It's going to be good. Thank you for being on it with the long stream. I definitely was late to the show. Hey, that's all good. You guys can also always go back through and watch the archives. But that brings me to my plugs. Hold on here, actually. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to do that. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and drop a like on this video. That really helps us with the algorithm. If you become a YouTube member, that's huge. That helps us out a lot. I think we're on 0 super chats tonight, which is sick. That's fine. I didn't set a goal, so that's my own fault. But if you do want to, I'm serious. Like, I don't see a lot of the stuff in the chat for whatever reason. I go back through the chats afterwards, and a lot of them I literally don't see. So I mean, if you super chat it, you can guarantee that doesn't happen. All right. I think that was it for Shilling. Like, comment, subscribe, rate 5 stars. Yeah. All right. Gonna fade the lo-fi out here. I was thinking of pulling up these Steve, hey, how's it going? I was thinking of just sending it and pulling up these Sounder at Heart gifts of the goals from the preseason game today. I think the feds and the oligarchs might come after me for that and shut the stream down and demonetize it. But, didn't make that much money, and I don't know. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do you really think those gifts would get flagged? Okay. All right. I won't do it. I really don't think it's going to get flagged, though. No, that's what I'm saying. But I won't do it if you think it's going to make your life more difficult. Well, that was my big idea for what to do, though. So if you guys have any more questions or topics, go ahead and throw them out there, and I'll riff on what you guys are riffing on. Bien, new YouTube member, says, when's the next one? Well, I don't know. I don't have plans to do one like this week or this weekend, but like we are planning, Nico and I are planning on starting our Monday streams like this coming Monday, and we're gonna do that all season. So at the very least, Monday is gonna be the next one. Considering that Dejan Joveljic is a highly rated chess player and Rubik's Cube guy, didn't know that, but that's fun info. Do you think he'll fit in with Club WWE, or is he too smart for that? That's a good question. Like, he has done nothing in his career to suggest to me that he's a professional wrestling enthusiast. But I feel like when you join that club, they probably immerse you in the culture right away. I don't think you can play for them unless you've demonstrated at least some sort of aptitude for a full Nelson or a body slam, what have you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the WWE terms, but drawing up my starting 11. Oh, that actually could be a good little activity. I've been wanting to do a lineup builder on one of these. That might take me a second to set up, though. But I mean, I could just verbally say my starting 11, I guess. But I want to do the lineup builder. That's more fun. I'm gonna try and multitask here and talk while I pull that up. Actually, I think I can just go ahead, pull it up. Watch this. Look at this technology, guys. This is about to be crazy. Here we go. Here we go. This won't get DMCA'd by the feds. No chance. How's that? Can you guys see that? All right. I just got to make him Sounders colored, and then we'll be ready. Oops. There we go. That's close enough. That's close enough. How do I change the formation though? How do I change the formation? Yeah, I guess that's the like what exactly how have they been running it? And how do I change this thing? Okay, here we go. Here we go. 3 at the back. Like a 3-4-3. I'm going to start filling this out. All right, and if you guys have like suggestions or lineups that you want to see, go ahead and you can shout them out, and I'll tinker with it. I'm going to start right here. Stephen Fry in goal. Yeah, 3-4-3 I think is how they've been running it. So I think we go Ymar. Reagan. Who do you guys want here? Who do you guys want here? I'll go ahead and put what I'm doing right now is setting it up how like I think it will probably get lined up, and then we can tinker from there. All right, Bien says he wants Kim in there. That probably won't be the first choice option, but let's do it. We're having fun here. Okay, I'm putting Kim. The three at the back, 3 center backs, Kim, Ymar, Reagan. That's kind of nice. I think the double pivot is clearly Obed. C rolled on. Yeah, so I guess I guess that sort of a question is like has anyone who's watched the game seen like if Nuhu's lining up as like the third center back, or is he still like the left back? Like I haven't been watching the games live, so I'm not exactly sure how that's been looking. But like I think him, Ymar, and Reagan, that might actually be how it's lined up. We're gonna put JMO up top for now. I mean, this is kind of not how it would actually be lined up, but all right. People are saying Nuhu's 100% in the back 3, so let's just move him there. Who do you guys? All right, chat. Who do you want as the left back? Crowdsourcing, and then I'm gonna put Ferreira right here. So what Nico was saying is, in this formation, De La Vega is like the odd man out theoretically. Yes. Ooh, Areola. See, I like that. No one wants Atencio as the left back. I don't know about that. Okay, all right. This is my first lineup. My first try here at building the lineup. You got the Nuhu, Ymar, Reagan back line, Ariola, A. Roldan as your wing backs, Obed, Christian, double pivot, Rusnak and Ferreira underneath JMO. I feel like it would sort of play with Rusnak as like a classic 10 with I kind of see it as Jordan and Ferreira as functionally like dual strikers. You know, one might be more the second striker than the other, but like when I think of it in my head, that's kind of that's how I think of it. Wild that De La Vega could be odd man out. Yeah, exactly. Like so looking at this right now, like you know, you could put Atencio in there. There's different things you could do with left back or whatever, but like assuming that this is what they're running, like a 3-4-3 like this, like you can swap, I guess, De La Vega and Ferreira or Rusnak out, but like he is like the first choice. He is kind of the odd man out. Jesus, an assist god, off ball player. Yeah, exactly. Like I really feel like the whole time since they got Ferreira, just the thought of him and Jordan playing off each other is quite intriguing. All right, Lex says do a 3-5-2, the drop in the middle 5, and then push on the middle 5. Okay, I'll do a 3-5-2, but 3-5-2 does seem like the best fit for this group. All right, let's just try the 3-5-2. I was gonna say maybe tinker more with the 3-4-3, but that's fine. 3-5-2. Oh, it did it for me. This is sick. I'm gonna not change anything. This lineup has the 3-man back line with looks like we got Ferreira now, sort of Ferreira and Ariola as the wing backs, with Alex Roldan moved to the defensive. This is fire. I'm not changing this. This is how I would line it up. You know, put Ferreira. Look at the Ferreira and Ariola out wide here. That's kind of nice. Swap Ferreira, Christian, and Rusnak. So you're saying put Ferreira here, Christian here, and then Rusnak here, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's look at this. This is actually all right. I mean, is this sort of what you meant, or did you mean Ferreira deeper and Rusnak like higher up? Push Rusnak. All right. Hold on. So like this, it would have to be. I feel like this like midfielder right here, like in terms of how it would play, it would be further up the field. Oh yeah, damn it. I still have Alex in the middle there. Oh man, it got away from me, folks. No. Okay. No, I just have to swap Alex and Christian. That's it. I think this makes sense, unless I'm tripping. Okay, take a look at this. Kind of cooks, chat. Kind of cooks. And you got no like you got De La Vega as the first off the bench here. Driussi and Velasco can get sold for $10 million. We get $7 million for Pedro if it just doesn't work out for him this year. I mean, apparently if you just all you need to do is hit up River Plate and they'll give you $10 million for whoever. So but like you would think that if he has any kind of good year this year, his stock should be higher than Driussi and Velasco, who just moved for gigantic bags. Yeah, TR, exactly. Like in this graphic of the 3-5-2, like Ferreira is super deep, but like I would put him like here. You see what I'm saying? Like, and then I think that cooks. Rusnak is the center attacking mid. Ferreira is the second 9 up top. That wins CCC. That's what I'm saying. Like looking at this right now. It's nice. Rothrock for Alex in that formation. Let's plug it in. Let's see how it looks. That's why we're doing it. We can do whatever we want with this lineup. We can put Rothrock up top. Ooh. That I kind of like even more, but I mean, we all know that's because of my Paul Rothrock stand-him, but like in all seriousness, that's nice. The Pauls flanking the Obed Ferreira Christian midfield. Ooh. It's kind of nice. In the midfield, Obed and Christian are the pivot 2 and Albert pushes up. Yes, that makes sense. So much power. Truly believe Rothrock could be more effective than Moose as a striker. Hey, Moose had an assist today. Moose literally, I mean, you can deny, everyone can deny it if they want, but he had a good assist today. This is the year of Moose. This is the year of the Moose redemption. Man, I gotta say, with Rothrock in there, I'm convincing myself of him as the first choice at this position here, as sort of like the hybrid wingback. This is what I think is kind of sick about the 3-5-2 is you've got the extra cover theoretically with this CB trio, and I feel like the fullbacks should theoretically like have a little more freedom to Jovan Jones, Brad Smith it, or just kind of like Paul Rothrock out there just being a chaos agent. Yeah. The bench in this situation, yeah, like you got JP coming off the bench, you got De La Vega coming off the bench, Atencio, Georgie, Kim, J Bell. It's looking like a nice match day squad on paper. It's been fun actually getting to like see these preseason highlights and see how it's functioning. I gotta say, like, my expectations for how the attack would look, I was trying to keep them tempered, because they are integrating like big new players right now, and they're trying to change their tactics, and sometimes that stuff takes time. And I was telling myself, like, if it looks sloppy or not that sharp for the first couple preseason games, probably just don't worry about it. Like, they're figuring it out. They're drilling stuff. Preseasons for trying stuff. I mean, it's looked better, a lot better than I expected in that sense. Like Nico was mentioning, I mean, they've gotten a bunch of goals so far, but like really, and a couple players mentioned this too in their interviews, like they were like, we could have had more goals based on the chances we were creating. So, competition caveat withstanding, like it's looked better than I thought. They letting people show up for the Louisville match next Wednesday. Ooh, I'm not actually sure about that. I imagine that's out at Long Acres, but yeah, I don't know, Lex. Anyone got lineup requests? Taking lineup requests. If you have a good novelty. All right, here. I'll get it started. Let's get Atencio in here. I know there's the anti-Nuhu people. Let's see how this looks with. Got Atencio in here. I'm gonna leave Rothrock. I'm probably gonna have to pull up the rosters. All right, hold on. Yeah, one hand typing. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's do one with all right, so you want Reagan right here. I was just kind of putting the CBs wherever. Yeah. Oops. Reg Yamarin. All right, we got that. De La Vega, I don't. Do we like De La Vega more centrally or out wide? I feel like they've been playing him. I'm playing him out wide. Let's put him. I'm struggling like if I should put him where Rusnak is or where Ferreira is. Might be the backup 10. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's put him there. Steve, I have a mic stand. Actually, it just doesn't really work, so that's why I hold it. So you guys can raise funds to buy me one that works if you want. All right, we got De La Vega plugged in there. We got Atencio plugged in there. What do you guys think of this? Let's say it's a situation. Okay, let's say it's a situation where Rusnak is like rotating out. Fixture congestion. They gotta rest Albert. Let's give Ferreira and Jordan a run. Dual strikers right here. De La Vega underneath. Obed Christian's still out there. The Paul's still out there. It's kind of nice. Instinct to dribble drive before pass. He's better on the wing, in my opinion. Yeah, like, well, I kind of tend to agree that like the best moments that we've seen from him are as a wide player, and also from what I can tell from just watching the preseason highlights, it really seems like that's where they've been playing him. But I do agree with the sentiment that like in a situation where Rusnak rotates out, you could put Ferreira there. You could, but De La Vega, that was what De La Vega was doing last year. So I don't know. Looks lit if Pedro brings it this year. Exactly. So like kind of when you look at this one, imagine it under a scenario where De La Vega is breaking out, you know. Could be nice. All right. I mean, is there anyone else that you guys want to see in here that I'm missing? That was kind of fun, honestly. It kind of got my wheels churning a little bit. I guess having not watched the games live, I didn't get the dopamine of like seeing them line up and start the game with the graphic and everything. So I'm getting my fix now. Yeah. All right. That's pretty much all I had for you guys. We're coming up on 2 hours and 15 minutes. If you've got any last questions or topics that I didn't hit that you want to hit, go ahead and fire them up. I'll take some last parting questions and then get out of here. Still have 56 people in here. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Yeah, exactly. Like I was laughing at that too when Nico was talking about how like Schmetzer won't be shy to go back to the 4-2-3-1. They're going to concede like one really dumb goal to drop a couple points, and Schmetz is going to pull the plug on these new aggressive high pressing tactics. Now, I mean, we'll see what happens, but like that's low key pretty possible outcome that that we spend all this time talking about new tactics and formations, and then they give up one goal and it's back to the 4-2-3-1 for the rest of time. Let's see. Oh yeah, got to bring the lo-fi back up. They're not going to DMCA the lo-fi, guys. It's approved. Literally can't play a 4-2-3-1 against LAFC. Here, I guess I'll just keep tinkering this while we do some last questions. Like let's work JP in here. Haven't worked JP in here yet. Ooh, let's do one with what about Georgie as a wing back? That would be kind of fire. All right, I got an idea. Georgie and JMO, dual strikers. What about that? Double M as a formation. Hey, Rhombus. What's going on? Pulling up at 2 hours and 20 minutes in. That's fire. I'm about to get out of here in a few minutes, but if you're just tuning in, we're toying with a lineup generator right now. Right now, I got Georgie up top as a dual striker next to Jordan. I got the Pauls as your sort of hybrid wingbacks, which I'm a big fan of. The midfield right now, this is one that I started cooking with De La Vega in there. Put him as the 10 instead of out wide for now. You got Obed and JP, and then the Reagan Atencio Ymar backline actually seems to be quite popular. A 3-2-3-2. Is that like, do people play that? Is that common? Let's see if that's on this. Yeah, they don't have like a, I mean, if it's a version of the 3-5-2, then I guess I could just plug it into this. What cook on that. What's your vision for the 2-3-2-3? Ari, if we cloned De La Vega 9 times and built a whole team with him and Fry, what do you think our season record would be? It depends if you're getting 2024 busted hamstring De La Vega or 2025 breakout player of the year De La Vega. If you get this year's De La Vega, where he's for sure breaking out, I mean, that team wins the Shield and the Cup double. He's got to stay healthy though. He's got to stay healthy. Why don't we just plug in Andy T for the fun of it? It's that time of night. I want to throw in, like, let's get weird with it. All right, let's throw in J-Bell. Who do you guys want as the third center back with J-Bell and Atencio? Oh, let's do Kim. Why not? I think I'm just going to keep Rothrock there. Look at this lineup. This lineup is sick. All right, this is the 3-2-3-2. Nuhu, Kim, Jackson, Ymar, Tencio, JP, Ariola, Rusnak, Christian. Okay, so you have no Ferreira and no De La Vega in that. That's I kind of like it. Yeah, no, it does feel wrong to have no Roldan on the field. All right, I'll put him in. I was just leaving Rothrock there, but like realistically, they're both like Alex is probably gonna play this particular position more. This is kind of nice. This is a depth lineup with De La Vega and JP in there. Okay, here we go. This is Rothrick. All right. This is my favorite lineup that I've built so far. Georgie Rothrock as the dual strikers. Oh, I see you. Oh, I thought I didn't see the J. I thought you were doing like a forward indicator for Morris. Okay. Yeah, that's better. That makes more sense. I feel like this as an exercise shows how versatile formation can be. Yeah, exactly. Like there should be theoretically a little more freedom to be aggressive running it like this. That's what I'm hoping, at least. But no, it's definitely there's a lot of ways you can go with it, and like you guys were saying, that probably means we're back to the 4-2-3-1. All right, about ready to start winding it down here. Let's see, what time is it? 9:14. All right, guys, I'll stay on till like 9:20ish. So if you got any last stuff you want to rip on, go ahead, let it loose in chat. Coming in on our, I think this is the longest stream I've done, coming up on 2.5 hours. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning into these. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely different from our regular podcast. I can kind of just like stream of consciousness, spit up here and build lineups just on a whim. It's pretty fun. Drop some super chats, improve the morale. Exactly. If we get 5 super chats, I won't log off at 9:20. Spam subs, gift members. At least if you're not going to do all that, like the video, sub to the channel, obviously, if you haven't. Oh, also, okay, there's 47 people still watching this. I know at least some percentage of you has not followed us on Instagram. If you are among those people and you just like, oh, I haven't followed the IG yet, take your phone out right now, search us on IG, follow us on there, trying to build us a credible IG presence, and we're getting there, but we still need help with that. Alex, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. Much appreciated. And also, if you want, that's our first super chat of the night. There we go. Not goose egging. See, at least we didn't goose egg. That would have been embarrassing. It looks like we already got a IG follow out that. Thank you. On the road to 250 Instagram subs. Super exciting. All right, hold on. I'm gonna get rid of this webcam. Hopefully I'll fix that next time I solo stream without Noah's camera. Alex is also a Sounder at Heart member. We love Alex. Shout out, Alex. Appreciate you. Everyone, sounderatheart.com/LS. That also helps us out. Shout out to our sponsors: Hacks and Ferments, Podium, Full Pull Wines. New soundtrack. All right. Seems like that's about it. I'm going to hit the old dusty trail, guys, coming up on 2.5 hours. Thank you for tuning into these. Again, keep your eyes peeled for Monday morning streams with Nico. We're going to try. Our plan is to do that every week. We'll see if we hold to that, but I don't see why we wouldn't. Just means I have to get up kind of early on Mondays, but that's fine. I guess I can do that for the content. Rhombus, $5 super chat, $5 for credibility. Thank you, much appreciated. That's 2 super chats. So definitely, we're not embarrassed anymore. Thanks for shouting out my use of the tech, Noah. There was some rough moments. I think it started off inauspiciously when I had the logo on my face and I couldn't quite figure out how to get it off. And then I feel like there was a couple other, minor missteps. But overall, for me, running a stream pretty much by myself, thought it went pretty well. Designer for some LS merch. That's a Noah question. He's the merch guy, but maybe. Yeah, I mean, if you got ideas, I'm not against hearing ideas. Max here just in time for the ending. Perfect timing. That's fine, Max. Shout out Max. Takes awesome photos. This guy, as far as the photos go, I mean, Noah's pretty good, but I mean, I don't know. Noah, who's better at taking photos, you or Max? Probably got to be Max. Sorry. It's a good debate, though. All right. I am going to sign off. I will catch you guys on Monday at the latest. Let you know if we do anything, put anything out before then. But otherwise, be live on Monday with Nico. And yeah, looking forward to the season. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here. I just got to fade out this background music. All right, I'm out. Peace.